What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was possessed by a lust demon? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. Hinata sat back in her seat, shifting through the file on the table. The folder holds a variety of snapshots and research of said man. She picked up a picture of him, holding the image between her fingers. He was a handsome young man with blonde hair and dark whiskered cheeks. Lips set in a thin line and eyes as empty as glass. He appeared to be sad in the picture. Sorrowful even. Despite the look on his face, she felt something chilling about his picture. As she set that image on the table, the one under it showed a completely different story. The boy was smiling, eyes sparkling like gems. It was unfitting for a mug shot, especially for someone who had massacred his friends in a horribly gruesome way. An old chubby finger touched the picture on the table with a few taps. These pictures were taken within 5 minutes of itself. The white-haired man clarified. Hinata sat the pictures down and held her hand upon them, closing her eyes as she tried to feel emotions from the two. It was quite the same and gave her the same feeling as when she first touched the folder. Chaos. Hinata slowly moved her hands from the picture, a shiver running through her body as she clasped her hands. They felt the same. This boy couldn't have a demon inside him. Is he bipolar, or does he have a split personality? Hinata questioned, but the woman to her right shook her head, blonde hair moving side to side. Look at these. Tsunade moved the paper out of the way. Medical records for when we found him, she explained, pointing to a picture of a broken and bruised arm. Then she flipped the page for her. This was taken on the same day. The next picture was of a perfectly good arm, not a blemish in sight. And there are also these. She showed Naruto's report, Hinata's heart growing heavy with each word that she scanned. The demon was named Kurama and he came out the night of his birthday, killing all his friends. She closed the folder with a heavy sigh, both pairs of eyes awaiting her response. They must have seen her hesitation, the older woman taking the initiative to speak. We understand that you are not your father. I hope for a speedy recovery for him. But we had no one else to turn to. The demon is getting stronger by the second, and Neji is across the globe with another client. You're our only hope. Tsunade let her voice drop as well as her head. The despair created by the two was suffocating. It was hard for the dark-haired woman to breathe. Hinata turned her head so that she may look outside. She gave them her truth. I don't know if I will be strong enough to kill this demon. Jiraiya took in a frantic breath. If you can just give it a try, that's all we are asking. We will pay you whatever you want even if you don't get it done. Jiraiya's desperation took her by surprise. She had already felt it, but it was a different story for him to expose himself. She blinked at him worriedly. She wasn't sure if she was right for this job. I do not wish to take your money for something I cannot complete. I would rather you save it for Neji or someone else within the clan. The man looked as though he was about to say something, but Tsunade reached across the table to set a hand upon his, halting his tongue. The older woman cleared her throat, giving Hinata a reassuring gaze. She spoke softly as if not to scare her away, or even if you can put him to sleep. That way we can wait until Neji comes back. Hinata rolled the idea around within her mind. Putting a demon to sleep was a lot easier than killing it, but still, she wasn't nearly as strong as Neji and nowhere near as powerful as her father. She wanted to say no, but how could she when they put the weight of their world on her shoulders? It would be a temporary band-aid, but she could do it. Okay, I will try. Their grateful smiles stabbed her aching heart. Hinata mentally prepared herself the best she could. Dealing with the supernatural was not always easy. You get your ghost pets and you get your loved ones that have a hard time passing over, needing one last goodbye, or holding on to guilt. She used to help catch criminals, but it was too much to deal with. Dealing with demons and killers was too much for her mentally. She much preferred the nicer side of things. She had assisted her father and Neji on a few outings, but that was when she was younger. She didn't want to work with the darker side of business. Neji had called her weak, but after years of working in the field, he had told her it would be too much for her. He said she was too nice. This was the first case she would be dealing with an actual demon. She wasn't getting rid of it though, she was just putting it to sleep. That's all. Just put him to sleep. You can do this. She chanted in her head, but as the large gray building had drawn closer she felt as though she were being brought to her doom. "Are you sure about this?" the man beside her questioned with unease. Hinata stared at the high electric fence with barbed wire and the swarm of guards that walked around with guns bigger than her torso. The prison itself was already doing a number on her. With how many prisoners they held, it was only natural for her to feel their overwhelming hatred and anger. It was an incredibly dark pressure that had her chest tight. She felt too much. This is why she lived as far away from civilization as possible and wore gloves. Touching people and being around people was exhausting. Their emotions too much. "My lady?" "Oh yes," she was asked a question. No, she was not sure about this. Her orbs drifted to the man who was driving her. She offered him a soft smile. "I'm fine, Ko." The man knew better than to believe her words. She always hid what she felt on the inside, even as a kid. He always admired her strength but also hated how stubborn she could be. "We can turn around now, Neji should be back soon. If he finishes. You know, dealing with these things never goes as planned." "I will. Just give it a try. That's all I can offer." Ko sighed heavily, tapping the steering wheel with anxious fidgeting. "If it becomes too much, I will leave." Hinata finished for him. "Right. Who knows, this could be a possible fake." Ko furrowed his brows. "Why do you say that?" Hinata shrugged. "The pictures. I don't feel a difference between the two. With demons, you can sense regret from its container. I didn't feel that with any of the pictures." Ko felt better about this information, so this could be a fraud. He could just be a boy who needs a hefty amount of medication and a psych ward. Ko. Hinata gave him a disapproving glare. "My apologies, Hinata. It's fine. Let us hope it is not a true demon." Hinata opened her door, stepping out in her black heels. She adjusted her pencil skirt and matching blazer, fixing her hair while using the window as a mirror. Her family was all about their image and making sure they were always professional. Ko came around the vehicle and offered his arm. As she set her hand upon his bicep, he guided her to the gates. The gravel was quite difficult to walk in, but it gave her something else to concentrate on. Once she was on the pavement, she felt her mind wander to the demon man. Was he a demon or was he a poor soul that had been through too much trauma? Or both? The questions floated around her head, and though she wished for this to be a fluke, she couldn't deny the one major fact: rapid healing. Was her gift perhaps becoming weak? Why did she not sense the difference in people? Those pictures were of the same person, she didn't feel another. Anomalies like these were found in cases with mental disorders. Or maybe her senses were off. It had been a long time since she had been on this side of the business, so maybe she was growing rusty. She will be able to know for sure once she touched him. After going through heavy security, she was finally taken to a black elevator by two guards. One scanned his badge, allowing them to climb on. The elevator took them deeper and deeper into the ground. Hinata swallowed heavily, the pit in her stomach growing with each passing second. The heavy darkness within the prison was absolutely horrendous. "Are you okay?" Ko asked as she released a heavy breath. She nodded, giving him a reassuring squeeze on his arm. It was only natural with as many people in one place to give off such a powerful amount of darkness, and it was suffocatingly sinister. The elevator beeped, making it to what seemed like the bottom of the earth. Stepping out, they walked down a long corridor. It was dark with a bluish tint, the light bulbs were lightish pale. Hinata's heels echoed loudly within the hall, each step feeling heavier and heavier. Turning the corner, she felt slight relief seeing familiar faces. Jiraiya and Tsunade were talking with a man whose hair rivaled Jiraiya's. They appeared to be arguing, but once they saw her they stopped talking, offering her a welcoming smile. "Hinata, it's so good to see you." Tsunade approached her as she let go of Ko's arm. She gave her a soft kiss on the cheek before wrapping her in her embrace. "Thank you so much for coming," she whispered in her ear, her arms pulled close as if just seeing her was going to solve all of her problems. Hinata awkwardly patted her back, closing her eyes so she could hold in her sorrow. She was not as confident as she should be. She didn't want to let them down, but maybe putting the demon to sleep would be just the hope they need. It was enough for them, and she was truly their only hope. The hug lasted for a second longer, the blonde woman finally releasing the girl from her hold. Hinata smiled softly at the other two. Jiraiya bowed his head politely and patted the one-eyed man next to him on the back. "This is Kakashi Hitaki, he runs this facility." Instantly she felt doubt rolling off the man in waves. She frowned as he spoke. "It's a pleasure to meet such a beautiful woman." He offered her his hand. His face was mostly covered up in a black scarf aside from his one eye. Grabbing his outstretched hand, she shook a few times before letting go. "You doubt me?" Tsunade and Jiraiya looked surprised, but Kakashi did not. He couldn't even give her a lick of dazzle from her spot on Reed. His eyebrow lifted lazily. "You should not be here." "Hitaki." Tsunade nearly hissed his name, but the man was unfazed. Ko grabbed her arm. "Say no more, let's go, Hinata." Hinata stood her ground, not allowing Ko to take her away. Instead, she voiced her curiosity. "Why is that? This demon is too much for someone like you." Kakashi then looked at Jiraiya with a sideways glance. "You're practically giving him a sheep for sacrifice." Commotion exploded, emotions flying everywhere as Tsunade and Jiraiya resumed what Hinata had to guess was what they were arguing about before she approached. Tsunade grabbed Hinata's shoulder, but the poor girl wasn't sure if it were for comfort or to stick her in place just in case she thought about running. Ko glared at the other woman, not at all pleased with this situation. Tsunade scowled. "She is Hiashi's daughter, she is just as gifted as he is." Kakashi spoke slowly as if he were speaking to children that refused to surrender. "It's not her abilities that worry me, it's her. Just because you give a sheep a gun does not mean it knows how to kill. She does not have what it takes mentally." Jiraiya spoke up before she could defend herself. "We are only asking her to put him to sleep. It should be enough to hold until Neji returns." Ko huffed in irritation. "No way, this already seems like a terrible idea. We should just wait for Neji to come back." He began to pull Hinata away, but Tsunade's hold became firm. Please just try. It could take who knows how long for Neji to return." This time it was the older woman who was panicking, instead of her partner. Yet Ko was not hearing her pleas. "No way, Hinata doesn't deal with demons." "Oh, which by the way, ma'am, you lied to me. You said you needed her to help your troubled son. This is more than just trouble. He's possessed." Tsunade growled in frustration. "Let her decide, boy." Before a tug-o-war could begin, Hinata yanked herself away. "Enough." She shouted at them, causing the lights to flicker. Tsunade looked at the bulbs as they blinked back to normal. "Did you do that?" Jiraiya questioned. "Yes, I do apologize. But please settle down, you guys are too loud." Hinata trailed off, rubbing her temple. She was starting to become overwhelmed by their chaotic emotions. She didn't sense any ill intent within Kakashi, but she did feel certainty. He was certain she would fail. "Mr. Hitaki, I just want to see if I can put him to sleep. If I cannot, then..." She trailed off because there wasn't any other option. "We wait until Neji comes back." Kakashi shook his head left and right. "There is no waiting. If you can't put him to sleep, we execute him." Hinata blinked her eyes wide. She looked at the woman who was now in front of her. Pain echoed within her soul as if she had sobbed out loud. Her shattering dismay brought Hinata close to tears. That would explain why they were desperate for her help. They knew she probably couldn't do a thing. They just wanted to hang on to the hope that she could. That 0.01% chance that she could save their son. It was evident that they already knew Kakashi's plan to kill Naruto. They weren't at all as shocked as she and Ko were. It was almost as if there was a seed of understanding deep within their minds. They have already faced the reality that Naruto is too harmful and becoming increasingly dangerous with each passing minute his demon is left unchecked. She truly pitied them, and once again Hinata found her heart making her decision. "Let me see him." Minutes went by as her words were registered as her final decision. A few glances were exchanged before they began walking down the hall. They stopped before two doors that were side by side. "We will be waiting in here, watching through the glass," Tsunade explained to her. "You and Kakashi will be in there." "No," Hinata told her, making Kakashi crossed his arms defiantly. "I am not letting you go in alone. I'm sorry, Mr. Hitaki, but I cannot have you in the room. Your emotions will get in the way. It's going to already be tough with you guys in the other room. I need to focus all my energy on Mr. Uzumaki, and I don't want to accidentally hurt you." "Absolutely not. That will be a chance I will have to take." Ko seemed to second Kakashi's opinion. "Hinata, at least let me come in. I've been around your father. So then you remember that it is more successful when he is one-on-one. Please allow me to do this properly, Ko. If anything happens, I will give you the signal." As if to sedate their worries, she gave Ko the signal by placing a hand on her chest. "If anything, and I mean anything, doesn't feel right, I know. It's okay. I'll be fine." She smiled softly once she felt slight ease from the group. They were still quite nervous, but it wasn't as bad. The others went into the room on the left as the guards unlocked the door on the right. They gave her one last, "Are you sure?" look, expecting her to run, but she stood her ground. Stepping inside the small room, she found the young man looking into his lap. The door shut behind her, clicking into place. She stood by the entrance for a second, taking in the atmosphere. She couldn't feel anything. She couldn't even feel the darkness that she felt coming into the prison. It was as if she were isolated from the rest of the world. Stepping toward the chair, she slid it out as she took a seat across from the boy. He still had his head hung low, wrist chained to the table as well as his ankles. She wondered if he were sleeping. It wasn't too bright in the room, but the only light source was the one that hung above the table. Digging into her pocket, she produced her recorder, setting it on the table as she pressed play. With one last glance toward her anxious audience beyond the black glass, she cleared her voice. "You, Uzumaki?" Silence. The man did not move an inch or gave a signal of life. She tried again, a bit louder this time. "Uzumaki." This time she received a reaction. The blonde lifted his head, blue eyes caught her off guard. The lone light danced within his orbs, they were much more beautiful in person. He said nothing as their gaze connected. She felt curiosity within him, though he didn't show it on his face. His face was hard as stone. His eyes scanned her, observing every part that he could see. Delight. A strong sense of delight hit her. "You aren't Hiyashi." His voice was rough as if he hadn't used it in days. He sounded displeased, but that certainly didn't match what she felt from him. Could it be the demon? Maybe the demon was happy to see her. Great. The woman's lips quirked up in an awkward half-smile. "Hi Mr. Uzumaki, I'm Hinata Hyuga. Hiyashi is my father." Naruto frowned, sitting back in his chair looking toward the glass. "Are you guys out of your mind? Where is Hiyashi?" The call for her father stung just a little bit. "Uzumaki, my father, is in a coma. He had fallen ill and hasn't woken up." Joy. Pure joy flooded the room, but again it did not match the blonde's face. Her words were making someone happy. How disturbing. This demon enjoyed pain very much. "I'm sorry to hear that." Naruto spoke, hanging his head. "I didn't mean to be rude." Hinata smiled softly. "It's okay, Uzumaki. Do you mind telling me about what happened on your birthday?" The blonde took a sharp breath. I don't really know. One moment I'm celebrating, the next? I'm sure you know." Yes, she was more than aware of what happened. She saw the gruesome pictures. The only strange thing was she felt no remorse, only pride. Again, this was a confusing case because she was sure this was the demon's emotion, yet she couldn't find guilt anywhere. He held it on his face but didn't project it. Was she speaking with the demon right now? Hinata was good at feeling emotions. It was her greatest and weakest gift. It's why she hated dealing with demons. Hated feeling their sick joy over something wrong. Where was this boy's sadness? "Uzumaki. May I?" Hinata removed her white gloves and stretched her hands across the table. Naruto looked at her strangely, closing his fist and moving as far away as his chains would allow. "What are you doing?" Well, she didn't want to tell him she doubted he was possessed by a demon. The emotions he displayed were uncommon for a man who was possessed. His face and body language told her he was sorry, but her gift was telling her otherwise. Without it, she may have believed he was truly remorseful. Again, she wasn't sure. She could know better from just one touch. "I would like to talk to your demon. Do you know his name?" He looked at her skeptically. "Kurama. He's dangerous. I would rather you not talk to him." The boy looked away, but she felt excitement. The demon must be thrilled to speak with her. "I think Kurama wants to talk to me." Hinata allowed her hands to wait before his. "Just a touch away. Would you allow me to speak with him? I don't want him to hurt you." Hinata smiled softly. "It's okay, Uzumaki. I'm a pretty tough girl." Wearily the boy looked at her hands. He then opened his slowly as she slid her fingers across his palm, grasping his hands in her own. Hinata sucked in a deep breath and closed her eyes as she felt the world grow dark. She felt nothing but darkness and the overwhelming power of evil, like she felt when she first got to the prison. What happened on your birthday?" She wasn't listening to the words he spoke because every emotion he had felt invaded her senses. A bone-crushing amount of wickedness was deep within his heart. Images of bloody scenes flashed within her mind and not a drop of remorse was found. Pure sadistic pleasure was all she felt. It was so strong she gasped. Her nails were digging into his flesh, but it didn't seem to bother him. She saw it all, or more importantly, she felt it. Naruto wasn't possessed by a demon. He enjoyed every second of his bloody birthday. She was able to feel it with each passing scene of chaotic torture he brought upon the people he claimed to be his friends. Hinata tried to breathe, swallowing the burning vomit that tickled her throat. He was tricking them. Hinata? Naruto called her name with a hint of fake concern. Everything about him was fake. This whole demon possession was fake. He was pretending to be possessed. That's why she didn't feel any difference from the photos. He wasn't sorry for what he did. I'm fine. She dragged her hands away from him, but he gripped her hands tighter. Did you speak with him? Hinata licked her lips slowly. I couldn't find him. Can you draw him out? Carefully she looked into his eyes, trying to keep her composure. She already knew the truth. Kurama was not real. Naruto continued to stare, without speaking a word. She tried to pull her hand away, but once again he held on to her. May you please let go? He leaned forward. Try harder. Look deeper, find him. I know you can find him. He begged her, but she shook her head. She did not want to delve any more into his mind than what she had. She really needed a bucket to puke in and to get as far away from this monster as possible. Please let go, Uzumaki. You're hurting me. She pulled a bit harder and he let go. She set her hand upon her heart, signaling she wanted to leave. She had seen enough. I'm sorry, Mr. Uzumaki. I don't think I can help you. I know someone you can speak with. Naruto sat back in his seat, drumming his fingers on the metal table. Are you giving up on me, Ms. Hyuga? Hinata furrowed her brows. No. I just don't think I can help. How can you be so certain? He looked at her expectantly. Uzumaki, you aren't possessed by a demon. I think you need to see a therapist. I'll call a close friend of mine as soon as possible. Hinata softly spoke. Speaking of leaving, why hadn't anyone opened the door? She did the signal. Ko should have been busting the doors down for her. Did he not see her signal? She switched hands, glancing at the black glass. No. Naruto clicked his tongue with a soft chuckle. I want you to help me. You will help me, won't you, Hina? Hinata looked at him rather confused. I'm sorry, but I cannot, and please do not call me that. She stood up, done with this conversation. I promise to get someone who can help you. They will kill me if you don't do anything. Would you please put Kurama to sleep, Hinata? He looked with pleading eyes, but the mischief was easy to feel. He knew just as much as her that there wasn't a demon to fight, and she was quite tired of these games. That's enough, Mr. Uzumaki. There's no demon, it was all you. You enjoyed killing those people. All of this is just for show, so cut it out. Hinata spun to the door and began knocking on it. I'm done here, please open the door. There is no demon present here. Naruto hummed. Are you sure? He whispered in her ear as she screamed. Turning around, she slammed her back against the door. Looking behind her, Naruto was still sitting in his spot as he laughed wickedly. He was now expressing the emotions that she had felt all along. Sadistic glee. You catch on quick. Your gift is definitely different from your father's. It took him years to realize I was tricking him. Hinata furrowed her brows. What are you talking about? She held herself flat to the door, grabbing the handle as she tried to leave, but it was no use. Where was everyone? Why wasn't anyone helping her? Your father has been putting me to sleep for years. We have quite a relationship. Such a shame he fell into a coma, and here I thought I killed him. The blonde shrugged, drawing light circles on the table. There was a lot of things wrong with what he had said. First off, how long had her father known him? Tsunade and Jiraiya did not provide her this piece of information. Yet most importantly, he was the cause for her father's sudden coma. Hinata could tell these words were true. You hurt my father? No. Kurama did. He wagged his finger. At least that's what you will tell them. And you will also tell them you put him to sleep. I have been doing this song and dance for a while. It's nice to have a new dance partner. One so cute too. Naruto blushed lightly, covering his mouth as he looked away shyly. Stop that. And, what are you talking about? Oh, feisty. So here's how it's going to go. You are going to sit your ass down and pretend you put me to sleep. Curse Kurama, yell out spells, and make it tasteful. I'll twitch a little, do some exorcist shit, laugh, call you a whore, and then I'll go still. I come back as Naruto, everyone is happy, you say you put Kurama to sleep. Problem solved. Hinata gasped in horror. No way. I can't lie to them. Can't or won't, because those are two completely different things, Hina. The woman shook her head defiantly. I absolutely refuse. I will not help you escape, you hurt people. Naruto went silent, his gaze trained on the woman before him as she stuck herself to the metal door, hand still upon the knob that would not turn. Naruto's lip twitched into a slight smile. Oh. My dear girl, do you think I need your help to escape? His tone was very much arrogant, which was not a good sign. He needed her help, right? Why else would he ask her to do such a morally corrupted task? If you don't need me, then why are you still here? She was honestly curious. Naruto raised a brow as if it were obvious, because I'm fucking bored. For a second Hinata was sure she'd wake up from this wacky dream. Well, that still doesn't clarify why you waited for my father when you knew he was in a coma. What if I didn't accept this job? Neji is gone and no other clan member would have taken this job. Mr. Hitaki was ready to kill you if I hadn't shown up. Call it a miracle. As I await my death, an angel was sent my way. Don't you think it was destiny for us to meet? Hinata slowly shook her head. Were you going to allow them to kill you? Naruto smiled with a shrug. I was. Until what? Until you showed up. Internally Hinata was screaming. No way she stopped this demon from allowing his fate to come crashing down. How did she unintentionally stop justice from occurring? What the hell was this kind of fate? She couldn't believe it, not one bit, even though she read his emotions to strike true. Why, you're lying. Soft pitter-patters hit the cool window of Hinata's bedroom window. The sound roused the woman from her slumber, her chest heaving a sigh from the disturbance. A soft grumble fluttered from her lips as she rolled over to hug her pillow, closing her eyes so that she may hopefully find her way back to sleep. Nature's melody normally calmed her, but today was different. Any noise had her on edge. Her once cozy home no longer eased her stress. She lived by herself, away from everyone else. Her house was built within the crevices of a green forest a few miles away from civilization. It was a two-story home, with wide windows so she could see the serene beauty within her yard. She did not want anything too big, but her father overdid it for her graduation present, claiming it would be the perfect place for her to start a family. To grow into, he had told her. It was the best gift she could have asked for, especially considering her condition. Her father was aware of how her gift affected her. Sometimes he would find her on the floor curled in a whimpering ball. Overstimulated by the constant flood of emotions. The city was no place for her. It was hard to deal with the variety of people every single day. Everyone's emotions ran through her. It was okay with a few people, but the abundance of people strained her. She learned to shut it off, but she was left feeling weird. Almost as if someone put noise-canceling headphones upon her ears and all she could feel was white noise. Nothing. She couldn't feel anything. It didn't feel right. Sometimes she would turn it off, but she would rather feel something than nothing. So when she graduated, her father saw to it that she'd be able to live her life comfortably away from people, of course with home security. It was an extra precaution on his part, but he knew she was safe without it. She could feel ill intent from a mile away. The police would be at her house before the culprit could even step foot on her property. Her friends worried about her being alone, but she reassured them, letting them know she liked her hidden area. It's her safe space, the place she runs to when she has had enough of the world. Her comfort zone, her hug after a long day. Her only neighbors were deer, squirrels, birds, and other wildlife. All of them were sweet and kind. It was perfect. Animals were always easier to deal with when it came to her abilities. They had a calm aura without an evil bone in their body. As innocent as can be. Even the predators held no cruel intentions, they hunted to survive. Their presence was relaxing, and she would invite them to her backyard, feeding them when she had spare food to give. She lived a calm life. Rarely did she go out. Ko was her middleman if there was a job for her. He'd deny any demon possessions or anything too dangerous for her. Tsunade and Jiraiya must have known since they worked closely with her father. They lied to Ko and showed him false documents about their situation so they could get close to her. Hinata was weak at heart, unable to turn away anyone in need of her help. She couldn't turn them away. It was the first time she wished she denied her stupid need to always help others. The pitter-patter on her window grew louder. The woman unable to sleep, her eyelids flinched with each tap. Giving up, Hinata slid out of her bed, padding across her dark wooden floors. Her stomach sour as she grabbed her thick dark purple curtains, pulling them apart. A blond man sat on her roof, his head leaning to the side of her windowsill. Upon seeing her, a large grin spread across his face, excitement lifting his eyes. The pitter-patter had stopped, his black nails moving away from her window as he waved at her. "Good morning, Hinata-chan." He perked up like a puppy seeing his owner. Hinata glared at the demon. "Go away, Uzumaki." Naruto bit his lip with a sharp canine. "I love when you say my name like that." Hinata rolled her eyes, closing the curtains with a tight hold. She breathed deeply, wishing for the 100th time this was a dream. The blonde's sing-song voice called from the other side. "Hina let me in I haven't thanked you properly for letting me out." His voice was high-pitched like a teen, but the chuckle that followed was deep. "You know you want to." He was mocking her, like he always did. Hinata stepped back, looking at the seal that was upon the side of the wall. She touched it, seeing it glow slightly and then dim. Good, it was still activated. She had them everywhere as a way to keep the demon out of her home. At first, she wasn't sure how it would work for this demon who was part human, but so far he has not entered her home. Hinata turned her gaze to the digital clock on her nightstand. 2:53. Unbelievable. She sighed, climbing back into her queen-size bed, wrapping herself in her covers. Her heavy eyelids drooped close once more, but they could barely close before. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. The woman grumbled, screaming into the pillow. She then sat up, snatched her headphones from the side of her nightstand and shoved them onto her head. Picking up her phone, she opened her music and clicked play on the first song she could find. Flopping back, she closed her eyes, unable to hear the noise. Finally, she began to drift away. Her mind wandered to a week ago, when she had made the worst decision of her life. 1 week ago. Within the prison. Hitaki, I need to check to see if the demon is asleep, for sure. Kakashi nodded his head. He's in the infirmary, I'll take you to him. Getting up, Kakashi had led her to her destination. She walked by empty yards and jail cells along the way, severely shocked by the lack of prisoners. This was impossible, absolutely insane how this one man could have so much darkness within him. His chakra must be terrifying, just the thought of it made her fingers shake. She held them together, trying to ease her anxiety. Her body practically screamed for her to run away. Mentally, she slapped herself. She needs to get it together. Everyone's lives were on the line right now. Entering the room, everyone turned to her nervously. Tsunade and Jiraiya stood as she walked to the bed. She allowed her eyes to meet their worried ones and then drifted her attention toward the sleeping boy who lay in bed, his wrist chained to the sides as well as his ankles. Ko stood on the other side of the bed by the window, writing notes down as he documented everything. He set his things on the window sill, looking at her with furrowed brows. He was quite worried. She had looked rather flushed when they got her out of the room. Who knows what had happened? If she was suffering, none of them would know. Being the sweet woman that she is, she will always try to help as much as she can, but demons were not her damn expertise. "Are you okay?" he questioned the woman. He was ready to whisk her away, telling them all to deal with it themselves. There was a reason he denied demons. Hinata was easy picking for them. Hinata nodded her head but kept her mouth closed. Her eyes would not move from the blonde. "Hinata, I'm fine, Ko." She smiled at him and silenced him. Unfortunately, he would never know if she was telling the truth. Hinata returned her attention to the blonde. She felt it now. He was like a furnace of dark chakra. When she had first entered his room, he concealed it. A trick he must have done on her father. Her father and Neji can see chakra, but they cannot feel the emotions within them like she can. Her father had described chakra as a cloud of color. Everyone had it. Every living thing and sometimes non-living things. Demon chakra was red while pure chakra was white. Most people had blue chakra. Innocent creatures like babies and animals had white. He had claimed her chakra was the closest thing to white he had ever seen an adult have. A light blue. That being said, Naruto must have learned how his eyes worked and switched his demon and human chakra in and out, making her father believe he cast the demon aside when in reality Naruto would pretend he had been cured. Switching to his blue chakra. She wondered when her father had finally realized he was being tricked. Did he try to kill him when that happened? Was it recent? Hinata shivered. She could feel his dark chakra. It was quite suffocating upon her skin. He wasn't trying to hold it in as he did before, now that he knows she knows the truth. Tsunade swallowed slowly as she looked at Hinata. Her silence was unnerving. Is he? Her lip trembled lightly as Jiraiya held her to him, rubbing her shoulder comfortingly. Is the demon sleeping? Hinata took a deep breath, sliding her glove off. I have to check. Tsunade nodded, stepping away from the bedside where she was holding the blonde boy's hand. Hinata took her place and gently sat her hand on the silver bar of the bed. This man was evil, pure evil. How could he toy with these poor people the way he did? Did he not feel sorrow for them? Did he not care for the red nose of a sniffling Tsunade or the dark sleepless bags Jiraiya had? Why was he doing this to them? They didn't deserve this. They were sweet and caring and loved him very much. Despite all the terrible things he probably put them through. Hinata wanted to slap him so hard at that moment. Yell at him and cast him into the shadows from which he crawled from, but she did not have that power. So how could she save them? How could she save the innocent people of the world from the demon that preyed upon them? The demon that walked the same earth as them, side by side. The demon was part human. Yes, he was part human. He had emotions, he feared things, not typical things, but he feared boredom. Could she possibly pull at a more human part of his heart? Hinata touched his hand with light fingers, slowly lifting his hand so that she could hold it. She then closed her eyes and hummed. Uzumaki. She breathed softly. Can you hear me? A few seconds passed, but it didn't take long. A light chuckle filled her ears as the world around her seemed to darken. Have you decided? Opening her eyes, she wasn't surprised to see the blue orbs that stared back at her. She turned her head left and right to see they were alone in the room. Her heart quickened, realizing she was once again trapped with this demon, but she tried to calm herself as best as she could. His thumb smoothed over her knuckles, waiting for her to speak. She opened her mouth, but her eyes fell upon her hand within his hold. She doubted he would let her hand go. He liked touching her. Naruto grinned at her clear discomfort. He yanked her hand to his lips, snapping the metal cuff with his movement. Hina. Don't be so shy, we should be past this. He placed his lips upon her fingers, kissing each digit as he held her gaze. Hinata swallowed nervously, trying to lean back as far as he would allow. You Uzumaki. If I lie for you, you have to promise me you won't hurt any more innocent people. Ha! The demon tossed his head back and began to laugh, his shoulders moving in his joyous moment. Hinata gritted her teeth, not appreciating the way he was laughing at her. Foolish Hinata, what would you say would be considered innocent? According to the Bible, everyone in this room has sinned, including you. So I guess I'm already doing a good job. Hinata blinked, rather surprised. I mean, don't hurt anyone. Don't hurt people anymore, no more killing, no more torturing, no more ow. Naruto bit her finger harshly, causing the woman to yelp, her blood dripping upon the white blanket. She jerked back out of instinct, but she did not get far, her wrist held in his iron grip. His mood switched so fast she didn't feel the hostility until now, as he was glaring at her. You might as well fucking kill me. How are you going to tell me to not do the one thing I actually find joy in? I might as well get myself out. He snarled. Hinata shook her head. There has to be something else you can enjoy. Have you ever tried? And what about the people you hurt? What about your parents? Naruto sat back in bed, letting his smoldering gaze subside. He then slid her finger into his mouth, licking her blood with his warm tongue. With her finger still in his mouth, he spoke, they aren't my real parents. And it's not bad to kill people. If there weren't any consequences for it, more people would be doing it. It's morally wrong, Uzumaki, and though they aren't your real parents, they treat you as if you were their own son. They care about you. A lot. Don't they matter? The blonde shrugged nonchalantly, popping her finger out his mouth. She grimaced at the saliva that coated her skin but tried not to show it as the demon continued to speak. I didn't kill them, did I? And who says I was ever morally correct? I do it because I can. I bet you wish you could kill me for the monster I am. Don't you, Hinata? Hinata furrowed her brows. No, I don't believe evil to be born, Uzumaki. I feel as though you were perhaps a sweet boy. Naruto went quiet, staring at her for a while. She couldn't feel anything from him, it was as though he felt nothing at that moment. He then smiles, wickedly. And what if I wasn't? Hinata searched within him, trying to read that statement to be true or false, but she couldn't tell. Then I'd hope for you to receive the justice that you deserve. Hinata whispered softly, as if thoroughly disappointed. Death? Naruto smiled gleefully. Boredom? Hinata spoke plainly. The demon boy couldn't help but laugh. In his moment of distraction, she snatched her hand from his and quickly pulled on her glove. Attraction and amusement filled the room. She really needed to stop doing that. She swears she's not doing it on purpose. How? Naruto chuckled, wiping fake tears from his eyes. How could I ever be bored when I have you? Hinata sighed, realizing there was no way she could get through to this demon. Could you, at least agree to kill those who deserve it? Like, other killers? Rapists? Pedophiles? Naruto's giggles died down, but he was still very much amused. Reminisce of his chuckle still tickling his body. How righteous of you, Hina. You really like to think you are doing a good deed, huh? Does it make you feel good? Do you get off on it? What does it do for you, Hinata? She looked at him thoughtfully and answered truthfully. I like when people are happy. So I suppose it does the same for me as killing does for you. Come? No. Hinata frowned, deeply disturbed. It makes you feel light as a feather, like your life has meaning. Naruto snorted, I doubt that. Killing makes you feel powerful. Makes you feel in control. Have you ever felt that, Hina? Have you felt anything as exhilarating? Hinata shook her head swiftly. What about the people you hurt? What of them? There are better things in life, like holding your newborn child, or being able to see how happy your presence makes someone, loving someone and being loved. The things you talk about are only temporary, but for me all the people I've helped warm me within my heart, and they constantly send me gifts of love, letting me know how I've touched their lives. How I saved them. Killing people only gives you a high for a moment. Then you are off to kill again until you get bored, until killing no longer gives you pleasure. So what's the point? What do you have left, Uzumaki? What's the purpose? Hinata shouted the last part as tears dropped from her eyes. She blinked swiftly, surprised she was crying. You are just a cruel, cruel creature, and I wish I had never come. Naruto tilted his head, watching as she wiped her tears away. Turning her head away from him, she didn't dare wish for him to see her weak like this. Yet she was feeling over-emotional, unable to hold back her frustration. He had no human emotions. He was a monster. The blonde clicked his tongue, and before she knew it she was upon the bed underneath the beast before she could even blink. Ah, don't cry, Hina. I didn't mean to upset you, princess. He cooed, dragging a claw down her cheek. Hinata listened for his emotions instead of his words. He was turned on. She frowned deeply. You enjoy seeing my pain. Naruto grinned, putting his hand to his mouth. Shit, you got me. He murmured with a slight blush, as if shy about being found out. I can't believe you. Hinata turned her head away from him as her tears slid to the bed. There's no talking to you, is there? She felt playfulness coming from him. Come on, Hina, I never said no. Will you accept my offer? Sure. Really? Are you lying? She looked up at him, greatly surprised. She didn't sense deceit. Only excitement. He was too focused on other things. He reached up to pull some of her hair back, tucking it behind her ear. I like you, Hina. He grinned, moving his hand so he could touch her cheek. He rubbed her reddened skin with his thumb, a slight lean to his head. Do you like me, Hina? Hinata parted her lips in horror. He did like her. The feeling was very much real. He truly meant it. He liked her. The only problem is the feeling was not mutual. Quote ellipsis. If you don't kill people, maybe. Naruto leaned down, licking her cheek with a wet tongue. She cringed as he hummed, nipping her ear, causing the girl to tense up from the pain. You said innocent people, Hina. You said I can't kill innocent people. You can only evil people. Hinata corrected, not even wanting to say the word. How could she make this deal? It was sickening and caused her stomach to twist with guilt. Sure, whatever. His gaze moved over her body, his attention being dragged elsewhere. She crossed her arms over her chest, feeling naked, her cheeks growing red, but she tried to stick with her demands. How would I know you will keep your promise? I'm a man of my word. I'm sure you can sense honesty in that. Hinata searched for it, and once she found it she nodded lightly, knowing he was, in fact, telling the truth. Thank you. It was the best she was going to get. Naruto grinned. You're so cute, Hina, such a self-sacrificial woman. Would you give me your soul if I agreed to hurt no one? Hinata was quite surprised by his statement. Before she could say anything he did a few weird signs with his hands and out popped a scroll. She leaned her head up as the scroll began to write cursive upon itself. A demon contract that bound her soul to Naruto upon death, and he would do as she pleased during her time alive. Hinata shook her head. No, I will not sign that. That was Hyuga lesson number 1. Never sign a demon's contract. It always ended poorly and only benefited the demon. Naruto pouted. Bummer. He sighed, whipping his hand around as the scroll poofed away. Anyways, we've talked enough. His hands slipped beneath her shirt, making the woman gasp. Wait, no. Hinata squeaked as his hand ran up her body to grab her, her hands doing nothing to halt his conquest as he massaged her plump flesh. "Come on Hinata Tilda, I wanna see that face you make when I touch you." His other hand trailed down to grab her thigh, moving her legs so that he could slot himself between her thighs. Hinata let out a choked moan as he grind his heart on against her panties. Her lower region ached for his touch. "Saint, stop at once Uzumaki-I." Her words trailed off as she began to get winded. It felt as though it was hard to breathe. She tried again but she could not speak, her vision becoming blurry. Hinata felt her stomach flip. What's happening?" she whispered, her arms falling limp. Her body shut down. Naruto hissed in irritation, "What the fuck Hinata? What did you do?" "Nothing. You've exhausted your mind for the day. It can't take much more of being here." He flopped to the side of her, and all she could see were his glaring red orbs, clearly upset she was leaving him. "How silly." Hinata tried to answer but she found her lips refused to move. Her lids fell heavily and darkness swept her away. Thunk! A gasp erupted from Hinata's lips as her head snapped up as quickly as it touched the metal. "Oh, shit, are you okay?" Ko quickly came over as she rubbed her forehead. Dizzy. She was feeling incredibly dizzy. She tried to nod her head as best as she could but the room was spinning. Her limbs didn't know what was up and what was down, her body feeling as though it was still moving. "Here's some water, sweetie." Tsunade opened a water bottle and brought it to her lips. "Drink slowly, there you go." Hinata took a few sips, allowing her eyes to remain closed. She sighed after the fifth sip, feeling as though she can finally open her eyes without vomiting. She rests her eyes on Naruto. "Kurama is asleep," she announced. Just as she said that, Naruto's eyelids cracked open, and he moaned with tired sighs. The room lit up with relief as Tsunade screamed, throwing herself onto the boy before he could even speak. "Naruto." She practically wailed his name as her broken sobs shook her frail body. "Jeez Ba-chan, I can barely breathe." Naruto chuckled playfully but the woman wasn't listening, she just squeezed him harder. Jiraiya smiled brightly as tears glazed his tired orbs. Thank you so much." He spoke to Hinata, gripping her shoulder tightly. He then joined his family hugging the blonde as well. Ko sighed, "Thank Kami." He beamed at the young Hyuga, rather proud of her, patting her on the back. "A job well done, my lady." Kakashi remained with his stoic expression. He seemed to look at Naruto with doubt, but he kept his words to himself, not wanting to ruin the moment. With each passing second, Hinata's heart ached. Blue orbs fluttered to her, the blonde smiling brightly as her body ran cold. "Thank you Hinata? Thank you for saving me." He began to cry as he held his family tightly. Hinata wanted to laugh. How did he will those tears to spill? Amazing. Amazing how he could cry so easily. Oh, how she wished she too could be ignorant. Ignorance was bliss after all. He had everyone spun into his web of lies and now her name was on it. She helped create this disastrous tale. Maybe that's why she was currently being punished. Punished by the very demon she helped free. Not even a day later did she find him outside her house, watching her as he sat in the trees or wherever he perched himself. The first night she felt his presence approaching at high speed. She had hurriedly run around writing all the seals upon her walls, making sure there wasn't a spot she had missed. He had knocked on the front door, but she didn't answer. He had then proceeded to knock on her windows and back door asking for entrance, but she refused. All her lights were turned on as she shivered in her living room, holding herself tightly. Her curtains shut tight without a sliver of space. Fear kept her up all night. She barely slept a wink now that the demon had found his favorite pastime was to hang out in her yard. Sometimes he'd leave and then she could safely go outside and grab her vegetables and fruits, but other than that she was too afraid to vacate her property. She would stay inside for the rest of her life if she could, but she was starting to run out of groceries. Ko normally dropped off her essentials of survival, but she had told him she was feeling spiritually sick after dealing with Naruto. There were a few times she had told Ko about her illness and he understood what it meant. "Don't come near me." Her body sometimes became too overwhelmed at times and she needed to reciprocate. Unfortunately, that was not one of those times, but he understood nonetheless. She felt bad for lying, but it was better than him coming to her home where a demon stalked her woods. Even though Naruto made his promise, she still feared him very much. Demons were tricky creatures. They were always plotting and deceiving, using their prey's weakness against them, tricking them into believing they had won only to flip the switch before your very eyes. She didn't want anyone else to be involved with this demon. Hence why it was both a curse and blessing she lived far from civilization. No one else was within his warpath, but that left her all alone with him. Present time. Pitter-patter asterisk. Hinata woke up from her slumber, but this time it was due to the soft rain from outside. She had sensed that the demon was no longer there, he had left. Hinata threw herself out of bed, falling into her morning routine. She would need to move quickly if she wanted to grab her fruits and vegetables from outside. Dressed in blue jeans and a hooded sweater, Hinata made her way downstairs. Her phone rang as she grabbed her basket, setting it down on the counter so she could answer her mobile device. It was Tsunade calling. She called her now and again to tell her how Naruto was doing and thanked her profusely for all that she had done. Which always hurt deeply. She didn't do anything but lie. "Hello, Miss Senju." Hinata answered the phone with a cheery tone, trying to keep the tiredness out of her voice due to her son's stalking. "Good afternoon, Hinata, and call me Tsunade girl. What did I tell you? You make me feel so old." The woman chuckled as the girl apologized sweetly. "I was just calling to check on you. Ko had let us know that you were feeling spiritually ill? Why didn't you tell me?" Hinata softly laughed, clicking the button for her coffee maker to start her much-needed caffeinated beverage. "It's okay, I didn't want you to worry about me. It happens when I deal with something that takes a bit more out of me. I'll be fine in no time." Tsunade sighed as if hearing her say that released the guilt from her shoulders. "That Ko. He was really trying to make me feel bad. He's a good man and always looks out for you, but does he have no control? Telling me my son caused you to become gravely ill." Hinata snorted at that comment. "Because, he did. Ba-chan asked her." Naruto's voice cut into the background, making Hinata's blood run cold. It was amazing how different he sounded, but his voice alone did wonders for her. Making sure her coffee was set and ready to go, she slid her basket off the counter, listening to the two bicker over the phone. Slipping out the back door, she took a moment to smell the wet forest and enjoy the soft sprinkle of rain. Her purple rain boots splashed upon the puddles as she made her way to her garden. The two on the phone still yelling at each other, but it sounded muffled as if Tsunade was covering up the phone. Hinata stopped in her tracks, seeing her garden was rather empty. Only a few crops were left. "Uzumaki," Hinata hissed in her head, her stomach growled, quite furious with this outcome. She leaned down, grabbing what she could when Tsunade got back on the phone with her. "Sorry about that. Sweetie. Naruto wants to know if you would join us for a celebration. For helping him, something for your honor." Hinata paused for a second, wanting to laugh at the offer. Did he not have enough of tormenting her guilty heart? It was already bad enough that she lied, but she also didn't want to deal with any more of that demon than she was already. "I do apologize, Tsunade, but I cannot. I'm sorry." The phone was then snatched away, the sound of Tsunade screaming at her son for being a twerp. It sounded like he was breathing hard as he ran from the other woman. She then heard him halt, releasing a huge phew. "Hinata," he whined on the phone. She was assuming he was alone now, that he was calling her his dreaded nickname for her. "There's no way in hell, Uzumaki." Hinata scoffed, throwing her last bit of food in her bin. A little rabbit hopped up to her asking for a treat, and with a sorrowful heart, she gave the small creature some of her veggies. She couldn't say no, but she was inwardly fuming because it was the man on the phone that had caused this predicament. "You ate my food," Naruto scoffed. "You wouldn't let me in. I was starving." Hinata rolled her eyes, standing up as she dusted her pants. The rain was starting to pick up. "I'm not going, Uzumaki." The boy whined, but she could care less. She should be whining. Turning around, Hinata caught something dangling from her roof. Her eyes snapped up as she released a high-pitched scream. There on her roof was the very demon that was stalking her and talking to her on the phone. He was eating her carrots nonchalantly as he watched her, kicking his feet back and forth. "Hey, there, princess." Her screams didn't stop as she ran to her house, dropping her basket in all her haste. She tripped and fell, sliding in the mud, scrambling to her door, somehow holding onto her phone as if it were a dagger and her only form of defense. She would thrust it at him if she had to. But most importantly, what the hell? How was he here? Busting in the door, she fell upon her carpet with a hard smack, causing her to bite her lip. Tears slipped down her cheeks due to frustration and overwhelming fear. Laughter erupted on the phone as she trembled with it in her hand, bringing it to her ear. This was impossible. She was talking to Naruto, but then who was that on her roof? Was she seeing things? Could he play tricks on her through the phone? Hinata turned around to see the demon boy standing right in front of her door with a goofy grin. Water dripped from his blonde locks. He wore a black fishnet shirt and dark orange pants, not at all fazed by the cold weather. "Nay Hina-chan, why do you seem upset seeing me?" He grinned as thunder drummed its music at her sudden realization. She hadn't sensed him at all. How? Her teeth clatter while her chest became tight. Her eyebrows scrunched up in utter confusion. "Hina, you're all dirty and your lip is bleeding. Did you accidentally bite it? Let me kiss it better." He spoke to her over the phone and the two of them began to chuckle. Hinata screamed, pulling the phone away as she hung up and tossed it far from her. The demon before her leaned against the side of the door, hands in his pockets. "I see how your gift works. You sense my emotions, but I've been practicing, seeing if maybe I can find a state of nothing within my mind. Like mediation, and it looked like it worked. It worked yesterday, and the day before, and before that, and well when I first got here. You always seem to think I leave when I do it. And you look especially happy when Ba-chan calls you letting you know my location, don't you? Thinking you are safe." He then smiled wickedly, a smile much too big for his face. "I've never left Hina-chan. I've been here since the first day I knocked on your door to let me in. It seems my idea worked beautifully." He stepped forward, gripping the side of her door as he leaned his head in, a white electric current pulsing as it sizzled before her door. She looked on too petrified to move as he pressed his head into her doorway with a growl, grinning like a maniac as his forehead bled from the impact of the seal barrier. He pulled back with a sigh, blood trailing down his forehead as he licked it up as past his lips. "Not bad Hina, but I think I can get through it if I tried." Thunder clapped again, jolting her forward. Hinata retched herself up and closed the door with a kick of her foot. Her heart pounding wildly. Hinata slid to the side of her wall, bringing her knees to her chest as she trembled from fear and coldness from her damp and muddy clothes. She was hyperventilating at this point. She will never escape this demon. Naruto tapped on her door with his claws. "Hina, it's raining out. Let me in." Her phone began to sing with text message after text message, her eyes looking toward it as a random number texted her. "Unknown. Let me in. Unknown. Let me in. Unknown. Let me in." Each text was the same thing. She whimpered, hugging herself tighter. Was this her punishment? Her punishment for letting this demon walk free? Is this her justice being delivered? Did she pick the wrong choice? Dark clouds stretched above a dark green forest, creating a grim picture of a lone house surrounded by marred trees. Their fallen leaves and branches lay broken in the yard as the sky wept with agony. Rain pelted upon the rooftops and thunder roared with the might of a beast, the wind howling with its command. This was quite possibly the worst storm Hinata had ever seen. The young woman sat cuddled up on her couch, hugging herself tightly with every light on. The TV broadcasting how severe this storm was. Her breath hitched at a creaking noise, her house groaning from the horrendous weather. After the noise settled, her shoulders relaxed, but not completely. She was anxious. Like a cornered rabbit, hiding within her bungalow, knowing a predator lurked around its home. Waiting, patiently, its canines glistening with drool. If she were to make one wrong more. Thunder snapped and lights went out with a zap. "Ah!" Hinata let out a shriek, nearly going into a full-blown panic attack. Her eyes were wide, trying to see in front of her as she threw herself into the darkness. Fumbling for her phone, she picked it up and ignored the 103 text messages from the unknown number, no doubt from Naruto, and used her phone as a flashlight. She made quick haste, finding her way to the kitchen to gather her candles. She lit about 8 candles, setting them up in the living room so she could see a little better. Once done, she sat on the couch carefully, resuming her earlier position. Another loud groan from her home caused her orbs to dart around her poorly lit living room. She set a hand on her chest, trying to calm it down. It was hard to swallow, let alone breathe. Picking up her phone, she checked her emails with shaky fingers. A new email popped up and she clicked on it swiftly. "Dearest Neji, I hope everything is well with your trip. How is Tenten? Is she doing well? Father is fine. All his vitals are stable and he seems to just be in a peaceful slumber. By the way, I was curious about demons. Maybe I could expand my horizon. What could you tell me about them? What types of demons are there? Is there anything such as a half-demon? What if a demon put father to sleep? Is that possible? When will you return? No rush. I know you are very busy, but I just miss you guys. Hinata. She scrolled past the text she sent a week ago. During his busy time it was hard for him to get back to her. He had just replied, "Dearest Hinata, 1010 and I are well. The case we are working on is quite an annoyance. We are positive the entire town is under a spell from a powerful spirit, and this could take some time. Demon hunting is not for you, cousin. As much as I love you, I refuse to have you deal with any of them. They prey on the innocent and kind of heart, which I'm afraid to say you are easy pickings for them. Your father and I agree with this. Speaking of your father, he is a powerful man and has been the head of our spiritual family for a long time. However, the mind can lose its strength. His situation can very well be caused by a demon. A strong demon can cast a genjutsu on its target, and if you aren't lucky enough to break out of it, you can slip into a coma. As for your question, half-demons are a myth. For a half-demon to be born, it requires a demon to give up its life for them, which is entirely impossible since they are selfish dark beings. Most cases that claim a being to be half-demon and half-human are just lunatics possessed. Typically these are serial killers. People can accept a possession wholeheartedly, their personalities and wishes lining up with the demon, wanting nothing more than mass destruction and chaos. Or it can be a cult that worships a demon, making sacrifices for power. The last case I saw similar to that was when we were young. It was the Uchiha case. They believed him to be half demon and half human. But don't worry yourself too much on the subject, take care of yourself. Neji. Hinata furrowed her brow rereading his email. Licking her lips in thought, she sent a reply filled with lies. Thank you for your concern, Neji, but I had a case with a demon that I had successfully put to sleep. Ko was very proud of me. I would like to dig deeper into this realm and educate myself as I help more and more people. I am very strong-willed and do not need you or my father to protect me from anything. I can handle myself. P.S. Do not discipline Ko for something I decided. Hinata. Hinata finished her email. Picking up a candle, she crossed her living room to enter her small library. She placed a finger on the books on her shelf, reading each one, looking for anything that could possibly help her find more information on demons. She picked up a few books and flipped them open, breezing through them but finding nothing that would be of help. Going to her closet, she opened it up to a bunch of boxes. Opening one after the other, she looked and flipped through folder after folder, digging and searching for clues. She didn't deal with any demonic cases. Ko normally sniffed them out for her, and if she caught wind of any, she'd pass them along to Neji or her father. She did not know what she was dealing with. The seals were a lucky guess that she remembered when she was younger, and it looked as though it would barely stop Naruto. She needed more ammunition. Dragging out one more box, she opened it to find her father's book. On the front, it read Uchiha Massacre. She gasped with excitement, quickly grabbing her candle and prize, she moved to her desk so that she could read the book. Opening it up, she swiftly scanned her father's words. It spoke about a 13-year-old boy named Itachi who killed his entire family, leaving one boy alive, that boy being his brother. The cops had arrived right on time before he killed his brother. The young boy was only 7 years old, and his name was Sasuke. Despite her father saving the young child, the boy would twitch and scream bloody murder, calling for his mother and father as if he was reliving his family's death over and over again. He had slipped into a coma for a few months. Itachi was claimed to have been a very sick boy, and his clan believed they could save him by praying to the demon god Indra Otsutsuki. During the lunar eclipse, Itachi's eyes turned red and he slaughtered his whole family. Hinata took a shaky breath as she read the haunting description of how the killer was found, her father's voice speaking the words within her head. Itachi was on the run for many years. He was finally caught at the age of 21. A bloody smile on his face as he died at the altar of one of many Uchiha shrines. 8 years ago, Hinata murmured as she read on, but that was it. Flipping through the page, she furrowed her brows. It never said how they caught him. She shook her head in frustration. That's not going to help her at all. She stopped on a page titled Genjutsu. Slapping her hand on the book, she trailed her finger across the page. Itachi Uchiha had the power to cause illusions known as genjutsus. He would put people in a dreamlike state, torturing his victims for days or even years within 5 minutes. Most didn't survive the torture and were lost to darkness forever, while some were left with broken minds, unable to live life properly. To break out of a genjutsu, someone else has to push a surge of chakra within the center of the victim's mind. Or the one affected had to detach themselves by silencing their senses and forcing all their chakra to one point to break the connection. This is called genjutsu dissipation. If left within a genjutsu for too long, the brain will shut down, resulting in a coma or death. Flipping to the next page, she caught sight of details of Itachi's victims. She felt sick to her stomach and quickly shut the book. There was a reason she hid this book. It was gruesome and gave her cold chills every time she touched it. A wicked case that she could have very much lived without knowing. She let out a long sigh. The rain had slowed a bit, but it still hadn't settled. Lightning flashed from behind her, and a shadow stiletto climbed her wall. Her eyes widened at the figure, a shriek flying from her lips. No! She threw herself up and around, seeing nothing but darkness behind her. Quickly grabbing her candle, she ran out of the room, almost tripping over her own feet. She closed the door behind her as if that would do anything to stop the demon if he did decide to come into her home. She scanned her surroundings, afraid of every movement that caught her eye. The shadows were rather wicked tonight. She raised her candle to disperse them, but it did little to ease her stress. Running into the kitchen, she grabbed a knife. It would do nothing but give her a false sense of security. What could she use against him? She had no idea how to deal with a demon, let alone one like this. Google didn't do anything to aid her. No one knew anything about demi-demons. There was no information on them. Hinata slid down her cabinets and tucked her knees to her chest. Her coffee still sitting in its holster. She hadn't had the appetite to eat or drink anything all day. Fear filled her stomach and left room for nothing else. Knowing he was out there was unnerving, but knowing she couldn't sense him was worse. He had been there, all week. He could have pounced on her at any given moment. Yet he didn't, only because he wanted to toy with her. He was a wicked fox, that was for sure. He didn't hunt her because he had to, he hunted her for fun. Because he was bored. Well, at least he isn't hurting anyone else, just me. Hinata sighed at this thought. Maybe that was the light in this dark situation. Taking a moment to breathe, she set the knife at her side, letting her legs relax. He hadn't made a move to come in yet. If he truly wanted to, he would have. That was a scary fact she had to accept. He's waiting for her. Maybe he wanted her to break, or maybe he'd get bored and decide to kill her. Then he'd be on to the next soul to torture. Grabbing her counter, she pulled herself up and took her candle, now set on a new mission. She dug for her butterfly notebook from the kitchen drawer and then quickly dashed into her library, snatching the Uchiha book and then running out faster than a bat out of hell. Shutting the door with a loud slam without looking back. It was the only room she couldn't close the curtains for. She never got curtains for that room. She will put that on her next shopping list. Making her way into the living room, she put her things on the table and began to use the email Neji sent her and her father's book to jot down notes. She read everything she gathered, piecing together the little information she had. Opening her phone, she looked through the text messages to see if maybe there would be something of use, but each text was the same. Let me in, let me in, let me in. She swallowed slowly, closing the message out as soon as she reached the top. She set her phone down and rubbed her sweaty palms on her pants before picking up her book again, writing down bullet points of what she knew. She remembered very well being in this genjutsu, but not how she broke out of it. The first time she fought to get out, she felt her world trembling around her, so maybe she broke out that time. Yet the second time she didn't try to get out. Her mind had slipped into darkness and Naruto told her she had exhausted her mind. She thought she escaped involuntarily. If what she learned so far was true, then the only way out of a genjutsu was genjutsu dissipation. She may have gotten out of the first one, but she did not get out of the second one, meaning, he let her go. He could have done this because he needed her, but he had still chosen to let her go. Was that his way of caring about her? Another interesting detail was the fact that he was alive. He was an anomaly to mankind according to Neji. Born from a demon sacrificing themselves for him. Did that demon love him? Was he loved? Jiraiya and Tsunade are his guardians and they love it, and they are still alive. He plays coy with them and torments them in his own way, but somehow his words from their talk rang a bell within her mind. I didn't kill them, did I? That was right, he didn't kill them. So in his mind, he must really believe he cares for them, in a very sick way. Demons were all about destruction and chaos, pain and suffering, but Naruto seemed to have some sort of niche about him. He didn't work like most demons and he didn't think like most humans, yet he displayed expressions from both sides. She needed to figure out what makes him tick. He had to have a weakness. Hinata closed her book shut with a loud slam, holding it to her lips. Her final and most embarrassing fact about the blonde was his genjutsu world. He did things to her. But he did not torture her as Itachi did to his victims. This demi-demon truly liked her, in his own sick way just as he liked his guardians. She's not dead yet. She had to figure out how to stop him before he got bored with her. Setting her book down, she grabbed her phone and hit dial. Holding her breath, she listened to the phone ring. She waited, and just when she thought he wasn't going to answer, she heard his voice. Sup? Her heart dropped at the mere sound. She parted her lips shakily. You Uzumaki? Hello? Uzumaki. I can't hear you, speak up. He was messing with her. Her face grew red, her grip getting tighter on her phone. Uzumaki. I would like to. Ha, just kidding, this is a voicemail, I bet you feel stupid. Leave me a message and I might call you back. Baka tilde. Hinata was left with her mouth open wide, speechlessly frozen in time as the phone beeped, signaling for her to leave a message. She pulled the phone away from her ear and ended the call with an angry thumb. He that what a. Gripping the small device tightly, she squeezed it and then released, letting it fall into her lap. Take a deep breath, Hinata. She breathed deeply but blew out as she got up from the couch. Heated, knowing him, he probably let the phone go to voicemail. He did that on purpose. It took a lot of guts to make that phone call. She was so afraid to call him, but when she finally had the nerve to call him, he does that. She was pacing back and forth, not knowing if she should call him again or not. Nabbing her phone off the couch, she dialed his phone again, waiting for him to answer, yet it rang and rang. Sup? At the start of his stupid voicemail, she hung up the phone. He's infuriating. He blows up her phone this morning and stalks her from dusk till dawn, but the moment she tries to call him, he doesn't pick up. She clicked call again. Sup? And again. Sup? And again. Sup? And again. Sup? She was on her 9th call when she was sent straight to voicemail. Oh no, he. Asterisk 22 root tilde asterisk 2:31 a.m. Uncount. You better have a good reason for waking me up. Hinata felt her stomach sink. Oh no. Was she poking the bear during his hibernation? She looked around her living room, half expecting him to blow through her window, pissed off. But thankfully that didn't happen. She read the message again, thinking about what she should say. She had everything planned when she called him, but now that blueprint was ripped apart. Wake him up? Wasn't he just in my window 30 minutes ago? Or was that a clone? Which one is the clone? Wait, why do I care about waking him up? I'm up because of him. He knocks on my windows, shouts my name, and eats all my food. I can never have peace. Hinata narrowed her gaze, typing her message, hitting send just as she finished. 2:35 a.m. Me. Oh sorry. Next time I'll tap on your window, smiley face. After Hinata sent that message, she slapped her phone into her lap, waiting as she chewed on her lip. Was this a good idea? Should she antagonize the very man that can kill her with just a wave of his hand? Her phone notified her she had a text message. Her heart skipped a beat as she lifted her phone. 2:37 a.m. Uncount. That's cute. Hinata stared at her screen, wondering what to reply. She didn't expect him to take that so lightly. Should she change gears and go back to her plan? Unknown. Pale eyes widened as she quickly slapped her phone to her chest. He was typing something else. What was he going to say? Her phone alerted her he was finished, and she quickly looked, eyes reading the message hungrily. 2:40 a.m. Uncount. Don't call me or text me at 2 in the fucking morning unless you are sending me your tits or clit. Hinata gasped at the audacity of this man. Demon, child, thing. Whatever he was such an asshole. She was done absolutely over him. There goes the plan right out the window. 2:42 a.m. Me. You are so rude and your voicemail sucks. What are you, 5? Frustrated, the woman blew out her candles as if she were the big bad wolf blowing down houses. She then stomped to her bedroom, threw her phone on the nightstand, and then plopped into bed. She hated that stupid blonde so much. Asterisk 22 root tilde asterisk. She ignored the sound, closing her eyes as she fumed within her head. It didn't take long before her phone was ringing. Rolling over, she slapped the decline button and then turned her phone off. Demon or not, he was an asshole, and she was finding she hated him very much so. Tap 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 asterisk. And there it was. Uzumaki. She grumbled his name in irritation. Tumbling out of bed, she grabbed her curtains and tossed them to the side, seeing the very demon that haunts her dreams and her reality. You know it's rude to call someone at such a scandalous hour, Hina. She glared at him. She was absolutely terrified of him, yet he behaves so casually with her. Sitting on the windowsill, she sighed in defeat. He cooed at her. What's wrong, princess? You look tired. Have you been sleeping well? Uzumaki, please. Is there any way you can leave me alone? Hina, he cocked his head to the side with a coy smile. You know I could never leave you alone. That was a true statement. She was doomed the minute she met him. I just want some space for a week. Can you give me that? I haven't left my house. I need food and I just want to sleep. What do you want? Why don't you just kill me already? Naruto licked his lips, seeing the fresh set of tears trickle down her cheeks. Kill you? I'm not bored with you yet, my dear. I'm having fun, aren't you? Hinata huffed, turning her head from the demon as she wiped her tears away. What if I go to whatever this thing you want me to attend? She looked back at him, waiting for his response as he thought this over. You stop stalking me for at least a week and I'll go. 3 days. Pardon? It's in 3 days. I'll give you then too. He waved his finger around. Have your space. Deal? Deal? Hinata blinked, a happy smile breaking across her lips before she could hold it back. His word was always true, a great contrast from a full-fledged demon. She heard they normally just lie. Don't get so fucking happy. Naruto snarled as she quickly let her head drop. Sorry, you just scare me. I take it back. No, why, you can't do that, we said deal. I changed my mind. You pissed me off. Wait, that's not fair. Fine, I'm sorry, please. Naruto rolled his red eyes, looking away from the window, bouncing his leg rapidly. He was pouting like a spoiled child. Uzumaki, please. I'm sorry. The blonde grumbled as he looked back at her. There's a new requirement now. She blinked her terrified orbs, afraid of what this new deal would entail. I leave you alone for 3 days, but you have to send me a nude each day, 2 a.m. in the fucking morning. Sharp. Her mouth fell open in silent shock. Nude. Her cheeks blossomed red as if the very word was too vulgar for her innocent lips. If I don't get a nude tomorrow at 2. He put 2 fingers up in front of her face. I will be here kicking your fucking door down at 2:01. You Uzumaki, please, there has to be something else. He got up, brushing himself off. 2 tomorrow, Hina, I can't wait. He chuckled darkly, giving her a sly wink. Oh, and one more thing. I expect you to behave during my absence. Before she could ask what that meant, he disappeared into the night. She released a sigh as she leaned against her cold window. Her mission was a slight success. By using his obsession, she was able to get him to leave her alone, for weird requests. For whatever reason, he wanted her to attend some congratulatory party. If only she could have just accepted that without a smile. Now she had more things she had to do. Send the blonde nudes. That should be easy, right? Her face was lit ablaze once again. He lusted after her in a way that made her want to faint, and if she were any younger she might have. Pervert demon. Hinata got up so she could get to bed. 3 days. She had 3 days to search for something to help her. She will use this time to her advantage. A sleepy sigh left her lips. She felt better knowing the demon had left, yet something else haunted her thoughts. He told her to behave. Did he know of her plans? Did he suspect her to fight back? Her stomach suddenly felt wheezy, or maybe he wants her to fight. With everything she had learned about the blonde, that seemed to be the most likely case. Time was of the essence. Hinata was upon her feet with only 6 hours of sleep, grasping every second she had. She made quick work with Ko, easing the poor man's stress. Once that storm was clear, she was on her way to the Hyuga compound. Her family had a library of information that she wanted to get her hands on. She had passed it by Ko as a simple interest. Hungry for more knowledge, he was a bit skeptical of her interest, but he said nothing else. It was safe to assume after Tsunade and Jiraiya slipping him a fast one, he will never let any other case slide past his boarded walls again, with or without her knowledge. Once she was at the library, she had moved with restrained steps. She didn't want Ko to see the severity of the situation. She had to make it seem like a relaxing day. Casually browsing books and drinking hot tea. She certainly couldn't reveal that her life was far from okay. Not after him. Behave. The demon's voice echoed like a phantom in the wind. She was relieved when she realized he was gone, but it was like he was still there, breathing down her back. watching her, his voice playing within her mind. Even with him gone, he haunted her. If she were to move across the planet, she still wouldn't feel safe. She was just another toy within his box, to do as he pleased. Until he's done with me, Hinata thought morbidly as she sat down with another book, pushing aside her pile. She took a glance at Ko, who was enjoying a book of his own. As if feeling her gaze, he took a pause to lock eyes with her. She gave him a reassuring beam before returning to the task at hand. It was a perfect plan. She can sedate Ko's worries while simultaneously gathering information. Ko was more than happy to oblige. He replied within the very second she sent him a text. He must have been worried sick, but after a few more reassuring lies he was at ease. Having to put a smile on her lips and force such a happy facade was taxing on her soul. She hated lying to him. Hated lying, period. Yet this was for his own good. She refused to allow her guilt to sway her tongue. If she told Ko what was really going on, what would he do? Better question, what would Naruto do? The woman's stomach felt sour as she fingered the corner of the page. She didn't want to know the answer to that. He has already put her father in a coma, which he seemed to have wanted to kill him. If he could do that to one of the most powerful clan member, there was no telling what he was capable of. In other words, they were absolutely weak compared to him. Yet here she was still walking around freely, after dancing with the devil. He could have easily put her in a coma like her father, but he didn't. He had a sick obsession toward her. Why Hinata couldn't understand, possibly because she was everything he wasn't. Sweet, innocent, kind, selfless, and he was. Naruto. A demon filled with selfishness and sick desires. Regardless of his reason for choosing her, and she needed to use that to her full advantage. It was her only weapon. She needed to fight this demon one-on-one. It was the only way to protect her family and friends. Or, what if she couldn't? Maybe she can't. What if he uses them against her? He was sick in the head. She wouldn't put it past him. What sick games did he have up his sleeve? She truly did not want to know, but something told her this was only the beginning. She puffed her cheeks in slight frustration, finding yet another book of useless information. Good information, yet nothing that can help her with her battle ahead. Closing the book, she sat it down, and picked up a different one. Her orbs flickering to the clock on the wall, the red hand spinning faster than she remembered. Did that little hand always move that fast? Hinata chewed on her check nervously, quickly opening her new book. With each tick of the clock she felt her skin crawl. She didn't know what freaked her out more. The 3 days she had to find something valuable, or the picture she had to send to Naruto at 2 a.m. Skin burning hot, she pulled her book to face for 2 reasons. 1. To block Ko from seeing her embracingly red cheeks, and 2. Bring the words closer to her wandering mind. She tried to cast the very idea that she had to do that out of her mind as if it didn't exist. Ignored it, deny. Her innocent mind couldn't even wrap itself around such lewdness. She never even watched porn, let alone participated in anything with the opposite. She had always felt lust from them, but none of them acted upon it. Especially with her father being Hiyashi and her cousin being Neji. No one would dare approach her, and the ones that did were never seen again. I'm sure they are fine, it's not like they killed them. However, once she was older, she pleaded that they left her love life alone, or else she will never get married and be happy. Which they obliged, thankfully. Once she was free to do as she pleased, she went on a few dates, but none of them really led to anything. She realized that no one truly piqued her interest. Naruto was the first one to do that to her. Even though it was within her mind, it felt so real. Her panties were soaked with her juices, reflecting that when she came within her mind, she also did in reality. Within the deepest part of her mind, she couldn't deny how amazing it felt to become undone. It was like something she had never felt before. It was unfortunate that it was a demon who made her experience that. She wondered what would have happened if she did have a boyfriend or husband at the time of meeting him. How different would the story be? How would Naruto have treated her then? Hinata's phone buzzed within her pocket, making her legs jolt from the sudden feeling. Swallowing her saliva, she sat her book down. Sitting back, she sipped her tea and dug out the device. Speaking of the devil, she didn't have to look, he was the only one that really texts her. What did he have to say? In what way will her torment her from a distance? Hack. The woman choked on her tea as she slammed her drink down along with her phone. Hack. Ko jumped to action, running to her side to assist. Are you okay? He asked worriedly, patting her back as her coughing fit subsided. Why yes Ko, I'm sorry to disturb you. Wrong pipe? Why yes. Hinata giggled nervously, her cheeks violently red, but it wasn't from coughing. Let me get you some water. Ko squeezed her shoulder before he strolled away. She watched him go, catching some of the other occupants within her peripheral looking at her with slight concern. I am alright, I promise. Hinata smiled sweetly, she waved them off as they got back to reading. Once all the attention was off of her, she picked up her phone to look at the cause of her coughing fit. Unknown. Are you thinking ass or tits? None. Hinata sat her phone down, deciding to focus on her books. Why was she always the curious one? She shouldn't have looked. She knew it was him. She squinted her lids, staring at the words, but the harder she tried to ignore the situation, the worse it got. Every word her eyes scurried over she had to reread. She wasn't trying to think of what she was going to send him. She wanted to forget she ever made that deal. What a stupid deal. She cursed within her mind. If only last night, this morning went the way she thought in her head. She would have agreed to attend the celebratory dinner in return for her space. She was hoping for more time, but any time would have been perfect for some alone time and research, but now she had this fine print with her contract. Why did she have to smile? Scratch that, why was he so bipolar? Of course she would be happy to have some space, especially after he patrolled her house and guarded it for a week. What a jealous prick. Hinata let her head fall within her book, shutting her eyes tightly. Stupid blonde. Ass or tits? Such a horn dog. Calm down Hinata, it's just a picture. What if he shows someone? What if he sends it to someone? What if the photos are leaked? What if he uses this as blackmail? Panic began to stir her stomach as she looked up, counting the hours on the clock. 14 more hours, and she found nothing of great help. There were spells and seals that worked on demons, but after what happened when he tried to enter her house, tingles ran down her spine. She wouldn't be surprised if he could get past the barrier. The problem was, why? Was it because the barrier was too weak, or was it because it didn't work well for someone like him? Hinata sighed dejectedly. Either answer was unfortunate. He was such a difficult case, but that made this all the more important. She had to figure out a way to stop him, not just for her sake but for everyone. It was up to her to do her diligence as a Hyuga. Focus. Hinata slapped her cheeks a few times before getting back to her readings. Her phone vibrated again. Lavender orbs fought hard, but alas, they cut toward the disturbance. Don't look. Her leg began to bounce lightly out of nervous habit, her teeth chewing on the inside of her bottom lip. The more she chanted in her mind not to look, the more her nervous tics became frantic. Don't. Slapping the device, she dragged the phone to her face. Unknown. Super excited to see what kind of treat my bunny has for me, rabbit. Eep. Hinata quickly covered her mouth. Bunny. Has he ever called her that before? Why did he call her that? More importantly, why were her ears so hot from such a silly pet name? She looked around, expecting for everyone to know the shameless mess she was dealing with. No one, however, was paying her any mind. Calm down Hinata. The woman chided herself as she breathed. This man was seriously messing with her, throwing her usual structure. She needed to ground herself. Me, bunny? She sent the message, intent on getting back to her very important research, but 3 bubbles appeared, keeping her from setting the device down. Unknown. Don't like it? Hinata furrowed her brow, cradling her phone within her hand as she rested her elbows on the table. Me? Why bunny? Unknown. Because of the way you scurried away when you saw me. Me? Maybe because the big bad wolf was coming to blow my house down. Unknown. Fox, I'm a big bad and handsome and sly fox. Don't forget those winking face. Hinata rolled her eyes. The guy was unbelievably full of himself. Me? Well then, big and handsome, why don't you go bother someone else? Don't you have anything better to do? Unknown. Fuck no. Hinata snorted, but before she could reply he was already sending her a flurry of text messages. Unknown. I shouldn't have made this deal. Unknown. I am bored out of my fucking mind. Unknown. What are you doing? Hinata clicked her tongue, surprised by his oddly honest confession, and how much he actually kept his word and left her alone. Funny how they both regret this deal, but for different reasons. Unknown. Are you being a good girl? Looking down at her books, reality dropped on her like a bucket of ice. Certainty she was behaving herself. She was just reading books. No harm in that. Not like she was trying to find a way to get rid of him for good, but he didn't know that. He didn't need to know that. Me. I'm being good. Unknown. Don't lie. Hinata's heart quickened, her head snapped around the library, looking for a blonde demon. Yet she didn't see him. He wouldn't break his promise. He's a man of his word. Slowly she scanned the library once more for good measures and then texted the blonde back. The longer she waited, the more it would seem she was hiding something. Me. I'm enjoying tea and a nice book. Not a lie, now all he has to do is uncount. What are you reading? Not ask what I'm reading. Hinata huffed, finding her skin to feel hot. She was afraid to lie to him. It was easy to lie to Ko, but Naruto was unhinged. There was no telling what was up and what was down with him. Picking up her books, she searched for one that wasn't going to spell out her true intentions for reading. Me. Dracula. A story about a vampire, a well-known story by all. A demon that kidnapped a woman and forced her to stay by his side, tormenting her day after day, forcing her to bear his wicked child. It was disgusting how the demon brainwashed the woman into loving him. She was burned alive to save her soul, to free her from the demon's clutches. He tormented the lands for years until he was killed by a brave hero with a holy sword. It was an intense crusade with plenty of bloodshed. Unknown. Vampires, huh? Is that what you are into? Me. No, actually, I find the story to be rather horrific. I'm sure it's a book you rather enjoy. Unknown. 3 bubbles popped up, but then they disappeared. She leaned her head slightly to the side, wondering why he may have deleted his text. Was he not pleased with her answer? Did he know what she was doing? She waited for Naruto to message back, but the bubble didn't pop up again. Was that good enough? Did he buy it? What was he going to say? Worry gnawed on her soul. He was just texting her back and forth, and now all of a sudden he stops? What gives? Her mind began to spin ideas out of thin air. Maybe he didn't like that she called the story horrific? Maybe it's because she said he'd enjoy it? Did she hit a nerve? Hinata pressed her nail into her lip as she stared at her text messages. Her eyes widened when 3 bubbles appeared again. Unknown, sad face. Here you go, hi, Kaya. Hinata shrieked from Ko's sudden appearance, derailing her completely off track. Wide-eyed, she looked up at the man who looked just as surprised as she was. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Are you okay? The woman released a nervous giggle. Yes, sorry. You surprised me. Releasing a sigh, she realized she had made yet another disturbance within the library, eyes once again upon her. She felt annoyance from them this time. That's definitely strike 2. Sorry. She whispered softly and bowed her head toward them. Let's take a break. You've been here for a while, and you know all this demon stuff must not be good for you. He picked up Dracula, shaking his head. I didn't want to say it, but you really shouldn't be reading stuff like this, especially after being spiritually sick. The monsters of the world are far worse than you could ever imagine. With a light shrug he smiled. I mean, what's the rush to get to them? Relax a bit, you did a good job and deserve to pat yourself on the back. I know you didn't kill the demon per se, but I think what you did for that family was more than they could have ever asked for. Hinata had to hold back a snort. How ironic his words were. She didn't deserve a pat on the back. Her gaze fell upon her pile of books. Ko continued his attempt to lift her spirits and make her feel proud of herself. His words barely penetrated her ears. She couldn't truly embrace them. She appreciated his efforts, but if anything it made her feel worse. She had only released a wild beast into the wild. She didn't have much time. She was treading on unknown territory and desperately gathered tools she hoped she could use. Yet if her father couldn't even stop him, what made her think she could? Was this all a waste of time? With a dejected gloved hand she closed her current book. You are right. Her voice sounded a bit soft, causing slight concern to trickle within Ko. Swiftly she perked up, with a soft smile. I've learned so much today, it's just so sad. Demons are definitely much different than what I deal with, but I hope I can desensitize myself to all of this. She gestured toward the book within Ko's hand. The man before her shifted awkwardly in place. Hinata. He began and then stopped. She already knew what he was going to say and she agreed. She shouldn't be dealing with demons. And if her story was painted the way he saw it, she would have probably steered clear. However, she had a bigger issue at play. I know Ko, but knowledge is important. I'm not going to go out there and take every demon case I find. I just wanted to learn more about them so it isn't so foreign. It's important to keep the mind sharp. With her last words she tapped at her temple. Her father's wise words brought a soft smile to his face. At a sudden realization, her lips parted. Father, what? Ko looked at her with a furrowed brow. That's it. I would like to go into father's office. I feel the best way to learn more about demons is to learn from my father himself. He was the best exorcist in the nation. Hinata declared, rather proud of her father's achievements. However, a pinch of pain held her heart, knowing that the very demon stalking her put him in a coma. Maybe he wasn't that strong. Mentally she slapped herself out of her spiraling thoughts. Blinking up at Ko, she awaited for his answer. He scratched his chin thoughtfully, looking away from her as if juggling something within. Then he sighed. Hinata. Mr. Hyuga's studies was burnt to the ground. What? Hinata gasped, feeling instant regret, and then a flood of annoyance smacked her in the face. Her eyes widened as she looked at the other occupants within the library. And, strike 3. Hinata quickly apologized once again to her poor relatives that just wanted a peaceful morning. Getting up, she gathered her things and moved swiftly as Ko followed her. Once outside of the building, she turned to him and repeated the same thing. What? Ko pulled on the collar of his button-up shirt. She could feel the pit of guilt and nervousness coming from him. This made her narrow her gaze, arms cross over her chest as she tapped her heels lightly. Why did he not tell her? Why didn't anyone tell her? Well, why didn't you tell me? The clan didn't want you to get involved within the matter. So they didn't see a reason to tell you. The clan? Or Neji? Hinata bit back. By the clear shock that sparked from him, she knew she hit the nail right on the head. She shook her head in disbelief. My father's study room gets burned down and you guys didn't think that was important to let his daughter know? Hinata, when did it catch flames? Ko pursed his lips slightly. On Tuesday. April 16th. The 16th. Yes, they. Hinata knew he was trying to find a way to tell the truth but not the full truth. It was a common practice her clan would participate in because she could tell when they were lying. Ko, however, was not very good at this. Putting 2 and 2 together, Hinata concluded the connection. It was the day after father fell into a coma. So this was quite possibly the person who attacked him. She said it simply, and all Ko could do was sigh with a defeated nod. So then why wouldn't you tell me? The clan Neji, felt you shouldn't get involved with this complication. Whoever did this is very powerful. However, the clan is protecting your father at all cost and they are working diligently, and once Neji comes back he will also aid the search. We will find who did this, but please, don't get involved within this affair. Hinata snorted, shaking her head. You all told me you didn't know what happened. We don't. A half-truth. Yet to her it might as well be a lie. Burning tears had her blinking up to the sky, her gaze falling on a raven perched in a tree. She stared at it instead of Ko. She was just too angry to look at him. Hinata, please don't be upset with me. We just want you to be safe. I know. Hinata sniffled out, wiping her tears away. She knew why he did it. It's why they did everything. To protect her. She wasn't really mad at Ko. She was frustrated with her weakness. Once she got herself situated, she continued. Neji told me it was possibly a demon that put him there. Ko clicked his tongue. That's right. Is that why you were doing all the keep the mind sharp? Yes. A half-truth of her own, she was researching to help her father, except she already knew the culprit. She could tell him right now. Tell them all who put her father in that hospital bed. Would it do anything? Ko, she began slowly. What if I can help? What if I can find the demon that attacked father? Ko quickly shook his head as if that thought was too much to process. No way, Hinata. I wouldn't want you anywhere near the demon that did this. Your father would kill me. He would somehow sleepwalk just to do as such. Hinata giggled at the exaggerated scenario Ko painted. If not your father, Neji would. Hinata waved her gloved hand as if to fan his growing demise. I understand. I understand, Ko. Thank you. He bowed lightly, straightening himself after a few seconds. And I am sorry for deceiving you. Let me make it up to you. Ko offered his arm as Hinata took a hold of it. Cinnamon buns on the way home? She gave him a soft smile. Yes, I will take your peace offering. Hinata giggled as they walked. Thank you for always looking out for me. She then leaned her head on his shoulder in fake affection. She could feel the sense of security that Ko produced. He was also proud. Proud he was protecting her. Oh, how wrong he was. Was she angry? Yes, she was very angry. She was over Ko, her father, and Neji always trying to protect her. Always trying to lock her away from the world as if that would save her. Yet maybe in some sick way they were right. The first contact she had with a demon flipped her entire world upside down. If Ko knew his one mistake caused such a disastrous outbreak, he'd probably die from heartbreak and guilt. Knowing his precious Hinata fell into the hands of a vicious lewd demon, the same one that put her father in a coma. The perpetrator right under his very nose. But she will give him this sense of security. Make him believe all is well, because that's all she can do to protect him. K-A-A-A-K-A-A-A-H-H. Hyunta perked up confused at what was making such an awful squawk. She looked toward the black crow that flocked wildly within the tree. The creature looked as though something was strangling it. Ko, is that normal? Ko shook his head, fear pungent in the air. We need to get out of here, he whispered lowly. He rushed her to the car, pulling her door open and running to the driver's side. Even within his hurried rush he was always a gentleman. What's going on? Hinata questioned as she slid in the car. I need to make a call. He dug his phone out while simultaneously starting the car. Hinata's attention returned to the crow, as she stared at it with a curious lean to her head. She sensed annoyance from it as it squawked and danced on its branch. Ko, I don't feel any ill intent within it. It seems irritated? It might be choking on something? Ko began to drive, giving it not another glance. With everything going on, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Hinata turned around as the car sped off, watching as the bird spun around and then torpedoed into the ground. Her eyebrows furrowed. Okay, maybe the bird wasn't normal, but what a weird animal. She knew what crows were. Crows were omens for death. They followed those that were going to be prey. Usually a person who was haunted would see a lot of crows, or a house would have a circle of crows. That weren't always bad per se. They were signs of death. One that had already happened or one that was going to happen. Warnings. Hinata saw some of them as some sort of alert. Sometimes the death could be prevented. It wasn't until the Uchiha did people truly feared the birds. Itachi was the first one to utilize crows with a vicious twist. It always started with you seeing one bird, and then another, and another. Until you were surrounded by crows. It was a scare tactic that he used to weaken his victims' minds. A frightened mind was easier to break, so he allowed his crows to break down his victims before swooping in for the kill. Hinata shivered at the idea, sitting back as she listened to Ko speak about the crow. What was the crow doing here? Was death amongst them? Was it for her? She wondered if Naruto knew anything about this. Slowly she slid her phone out, seeing the text message that he had sent her earlier. Unknown. I personally like the story your clan made up, but the real story is boring. Hinata furrowed her brow. What was he talking about again? Oh, that's right, Dracula. What did he mean her family's story was made up? Me. What do you mean? She questioned him, but his next text sent her flying. Unknown. Do you have a fucking boyfriend? What? Where did that come from? Before she could reply, her phone was buzzing. Unknown calling. Hinata's orbs zapped with surprise. What is he talking about? She can't answer the phone now. Ko is in the car. She glanced to her left as Ko seemed rather busy glaring at the road, deep in thought. There was no way she could answer the phone with Ko beside her. Especially not talking to Naruto. She instead sent him to voicemail so she could text him. What was he talking about? Why did he think she had a boyfriend? He never asked her before? Why does he care now? Me. Why? Unknown. Answer the fucking phone. He called again, making Hinata's heart thud quickly. Why was he freaking out so much? After what he did to her, now he cares if she has a boyfriend. She thought it was pretty obvious she didn't. Yet why did this make her inwardly laugh at his jealousy? He had got to be pulling her leg. What gave him the idea that she had a boyfriend now? She ignored his call, texting him again. Me. What makes you believe I have a boyfriend? Unknown. Hinata, I swear to you, if you don't answer the fucking question, I will be at your house and drag you kicking and screaming. Hinata held her breath, feeling as though she was playing with fire, but she really needed to know what made him believe she had a boyfriend. Was it sudden curiosity? Not with the aggressive way he was acting. Me. Then you would be breaking the deal. I thought you were a man of your word. Unknown. I told you to behave. Now answer the question. Me. You tell me why you believe I have a boyfriend, and then I will answer the question. There wasn't another message sent after that. She waited for him to reply, but he didn't. That wasn't good. Did she play with fire too much? In a few minutes Ko had parked the car in front of her favorite bakery shop and took her order before going inside. Once he was gone she called Naruto's number. The phone rang twice before he answered. He didn't even say hello. He just picked up. "Why do you think I have a boyfriend?" She spoke to him with a clipped tone. He was silent for a few moments. She heard him grunt before he answered. "Do you? What if I did?" Both tones were rather clipped, snarky questions tossed to one another. It was a dangerous game, but two can play it. Naruto began to laugh. "Do you want to know the answer to that, princess?" "Do you really want to know?" Hinata gulped harshly. She could assume the answer would be bloody. "Tell me why. Why do you think I have a boyfriend?" Silence. "A little birdie told me." Hinata gasped, gripping the phone tightly. "Naruto, you said you would." "It wasn't me. Like I said, I left you alone, that was the deal. Now tell me who the fuck you were hugging." Hinata snorted. Ko. He was getting his panties in a bunch over Ko. And when did she hug him? He was walking her to the car. Oh, for goodness gracious, poor Ko is going to be dismembered over something so petty as a demon's jealousy. "I can't believe you. No, I don't have a boyfriend." She shouted into the phone and then hung up, crossing her arms as she sat back looking for more watching crows. How dare he? How dare he go back on his word? Demons were all the same. They always find a way around things. How could he ever possibly leave her alone? She heard the door open then close as Ko sat her treat within her lap. She gave him a swift thank you, but her mind was churning. She was angry with Naruto. He was watching her, or he had someone else watch her, so he knows what she was doing. Yet the one thing that ticked him off was her touching Ko. She never felt a lick of lust coming from Ko. He saw her as an older brother would see his sister. She felt sick to her stomach. How could she have fully put her trust in such a deal? And yet she had to keep her end of the bargain? Send me a nude each day, 2 am in the fucking morning. Sharp. Ha. If he wanted to be a sly fox, she could be a sly bunny. I'll send you a nude, alright. Hinata mentally thought to herself as a smirk touched her lip. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.